Hello and welcome back to ELT Under the Covers, where we, as English language teaching professionals, we look at the good and the bad of English teaching on the internet. Today, we are going to be looking at the world-renowned BBC Learning English. But before we do that, let's do some introductions. I'm Neil of Team Teacher fame, and I'm joined today by the esteemed, the outstanding, the wonderful Professor Rich.
Good afternoon.
Perfect BBC accent. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the Antiques Roadshow.
That's kind
lovely pieces here today.
That's kind of a bit of an argument with the BBC. Is it's a bit of an antique in today's modern media, and I kind of wanted to do this show today to kind of show people that, you know, the BBC's maybe not so antique. They are kind of keep it up, and they do their own thing. And I actually do like BBC Learning English, so I figure we could kind of have a look at that and see, you know, how it looks and how we can explore it. BBC Learning English, I'll drop the link below, but I'd recommend this to my students, and people often lose it because, you know, they just type it in onto YouTube or Google and, you know, learning English, and, you know, some random stuff that people are trying to sell you pop up. With the BBC, you actually have to go to the BBC website and go to Learning English. But with the BBC Learning English website, it's all broken down into different sections that you can kind of explore. So you can explore learning vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, combinations of all of these things, lexes, what have you. And they generally all have their own little podcast, their own little videos that are related to that, that you can download, especially if you have the BBC player and their app, and you can just kind of take them offline and listen to them or watch them as you're traveling around and doing other things. And they have some of their older stuff, their older courses on there that that look like they're from the 70s, but they also have a lot of modern things and modern takes where they'll do weekly ones as well. And the BBC YouTube channel has a live stream as well, where you can, you know, speak with the teacher as they do kind of classes and stuff. And one thing I really like about these, especially the podcasts, is you can download the scripts. You can use those scripts if you're a teacher to, you know, kind of put people into role plays. If the podcast lends to that, you can, as a student, kind of go over and revise what you've listened to. And they tend to try to be topical as well, and they focus on a whole different bunch of things. The one that we're going to look at today is actually the pronunciation workshop, and it's a bit cheesy, it's a bit cliche, but I tend to like it. So we're going to get more of Rich's opinion on this. But I just wanted to know, Rich, kind of what do you have any experiences with BBC Learning English and how you found it?
So it's never anything that I've particularly explored, actually, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that people have spoke about a lot, and sometimes my students mention it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that they tend to say is that it used to be very good. That's what people tend to say. And I think a lot of people actually go off the YouTube channel rather than the web, like exploring the website themselves. So they tend to just go on the YouTube channel and just see what's happening there. And I imagine that's just everything, isn't it? They just post everything on the YouTube channel. But obviously you're not gonna, if you go on the YouTube channel now, then Tim's pronunciation workshop from 2017 isn't going to be the thing that pops up. It's going to be whatever stuff they're making now. So I have heard a lot of people say that the kind of content they make now is not as good as it was, or it's not as useful, or whatever. I don't know why that is or what's going on, but you know, these things kind of come and go. I guess good teachers come and go, don't they? And
yeah,
you know, if you've already done something that's good, then, and it's already online, then why do it again? So maybe that's why. Maybe it's better to kind of approach it from the website level rather than from the YouTube level, my initial impressions are actually quite positive in a number of ways. I was just exploring here the grammar, and I'm quite impressed at the quantity and completeness of this. And I have to say, I think you're right that these are not the things which actually tend to come up if you do a little Google search and say, oh, how do I do the third conditional in English? Then I don't think this is what comes up. But it does seem to be complete and kind of interesting, and it's got some context here. It's even got a lovely little practice activity. It's been well thought out for the third conditional. Sorry, I'm not concentrating too much on the pronunciation there that you wanted to focus on, but I mean, that's a nice controlled practice activity there with an interactive questionnaire. So yeah, so initially I'm actually quite impressed, certainly with this historic stuff. And I guess what you want to look at today is also historic. This is Tim's pronunciation workshop. I quite like the fact that, the guy's done 75 episodes, which, by the way, is very significant. That's probably about the amount of videos that Lucy Teaching English with Lucy makes in a year. So it's about a year of Lucy content, and probably gets less views.
Yeah.
Now, I guess that would be an interesting thing for me to see. Is that justified? Because obviously there is no interaction with Lucy. There's no practice, but here perhaps there will be. So yeah, I'd like to kind of see more, I guess. Are we going to dive straight in and watch the video, or is there something you wanted to explore here?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of your comments, and it is why I do recommend that my students go directly to the Learning English website, because it's organized and you can kind of navigate it better. Out of that ecosystem, it's a bit of a mess, and I would agree with those comments that people have given to you previously. If you go to their BBC YouTube website, it's like all of this content has just been squidged into their channel, and it's like trying to organize. I don't even know if they have playlists and stuff. I mean, it was one of the issues that we had with Team Teacher China. As that grew, we ended up finding that we should have really had 3 channels. We should have had teaching in China, living in China, and having a baby in China. They just kind of gets everything gets lost in the shuffle.
Content.
Exactly. Yeah. So this pronunciation workshop should have had its own channel in my estimation. But
for example, yeah.
But
old media doesn't know enough about new, I suppose.
I think that's what's happened.
Hi, I'm Tim, and this is my pronunciation workshop. Here, I'm going to show you how English is really spoken. Come on. Let's go inside.
He's having a great laugh, Tim. I feel like he might be putting this on a little bit.
No, really?
Oh dear. Excuse me. I'm a bit tired. I was out late last night with the lads. I know. Yeah, we didn't get back until 9:30.
Do you think he really wanted to be an actor, but it just didn't quite work out?
I think he wanted to be a lot of things that didn't quite work out.
He seems like a really hammy actor, as if maybe he's done a bit of like theatre or something,
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I quite like him though. He's entertaining.
In the evening.
I mean, it's almost like a Mr. Duncan that makes a bit more sense.
I can see that.
Because Mr. Duncan does a bit of that as well, doesn't he? But it's like he's actually making sense. He's not just saying random things.
And just a random thing flies across the screen.
Yeah, right.
Animal. Anyway, while I get myself together a bit, let's ask some other people in London what they got up to last night.
At 9 o'clock last night, I was watching a movie.
I was laying in bed.
I was invited to a dinner at my friend's house.
I was playing football.
I was out drinking.
Well, well, what interesting lives we all lead. Now they
Oh, a bit of a narrow age range of interviewees there, Tim.
Yeah, but one thing I
A
do
little bit
like,
ageist.
and one thing that I particularly appreciate about this video, and I don't think we've seen with any of the tuba teachers, what you have with the tuba teachers, you've got a mono model, as in you've only got one model for the pronunciation, whereas here you've just got boom, 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 a whole different mix. Yes, mostly they're going to be Londoners, but still, boy, girl, all different examples, all natural.
You can't argue with that.
is the past form of the verb to be. Was. Now, the word was is made of the sounds w or z, isn't it? Or is it? Listen again. What sound can you actually hear?
At 9 o'clock last night, I was watching a movie.
I was laying in bed.
I was invited to a dinner at my friend's house.
I was playing football.
I was out drinking.
When the word was is unstressed, as in the examples we've just heard, then the vowel sound changes to a schwa, So was becomes was, and also were becomes w. These are called weak forms. Here are some more examples.
I was there when it happened.
We were delighted with the results. We were having a good time until it rained.
He was feeling much better last night.
Right, now you've heard the examples, and now it's your turn. Listen and repeat.
I was there when it happened.
I was there when it
We
happened.
were delighted with the results.
We were delighted with the results.
We were having a good time until it
We
rained.
were having a good time until it rained.
He was feeling much better
He was
last night.
feeling much better last night. Very good.
Great work.
I have to say, I really like this quite a lot. I think this is probably one of the best, the best sort of videos that we've watched on this channel. Maybe the best.
I told
In
you.
my
I
opinion.
told you.
Did you? Yeah,
Neil,
it's,
I know my shit. I know my shit.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. I think what you were saying there about the variety of models, very impressive.
They're duetting, using that
authentic
TikTok.
language.
Yep.
Presented in context. I mean, he comes in, gives us his cheesy little story about what he was doing last night, and then leads us into what other people were doing last night.
It actually feels like you're in a lesson. This actually feels like almost an equivalent of a lesson. It's never going to be the same because of the restrictions of media, of the format, the platform, but
yeah,
it's the same format. It's kind of I when I remember initially watching stuff like this and going, this is exactly what you do when you're planning a lesson. When you're thinking, how do I kind of like introduce this?
Yeah.
What, then kind of like, it just follows that format, But
yeah, I think it's as close to the methodology of a lesson that we've seen as we've seen so far in a video format.
yeah, this high praise from Professor Rich.
Yeah, I think that's the most praise that I've given to one of these things. Let's carry on and see what Tama has to say.
Learn more about pronunciation, then please visit our website, bbclearningenglish.com. And that is about it from the pronunciation workshop for now. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Now, oh look. Hey, you know what this is? This is was backwards. Get it?
Oh my god.
It's a saw. Now, I know what you're thinking. You were thinking that I was going to have some terrible accident. Well, don't worry. It's not even switched on. Look. Whoa!
Very good. All right. So
It wasn't necessary. Oh, hold on. We've got this last part here.
You got a bit more Mr. Duncan at the end. So I think the only thing that might be missing from this, and it's a bit weird really that it is missing from it, is more extensive practice. They have the pronunciation practice of just, repeat after me kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like it should be taken one step further. And since they've got a whole website, then it would make sense for me that he would kind of redirect you to the specific page for that lesson and
That's
say, go
point.
here and do our following up activities. Now, I'm actually just gone to the website, the link in the video description, and it is for that video, and there is an activity. So they actually have got it as well. He just didn't mention it. Because the link he gave, bbclearningenglish.com or whatever the hell it was, that's not the link that they've got in the description. In the description, they've got the specific link for that lesson, and it does take you to that lesson, and there does seem to be some activities. The was-were game. How many examples of was and were are there in each sentence? You decide. Where were you when we were in trouble? Oh, very good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. That's a good practice activity. So just Tim dropping the ball there, isn't it? Well, that's what he should have said.
I actually think that's probably intentional on their part. I think, if I remember correctly, it was a cut. So it was him talking to the camera and then him suddenly lounging in front of the door for the shed, right? Saying, go to blah, blah, blah. I feel like that was probably from another video. And the issue might be with that is if they reorganize the website, he gives a link and then he puts that in the video, then you've got a dead link. And,
Yeah, I don't think he should do that. I think it should just be, check out the link down below for the related exercises to this lesson.
That's what I do. But, maybe this was, if this was 2014, or you'd still do stuff like that, right? But I guess maybe
unless they kind of filled these in later on, unless these kind of things, these activities, maybe they did the videos first and then the activities came later.
That's true. But again, I'll just repeat, if you are going to watch these BBC Learning English videos, go to the website. Don't go through YouTube. Go to the website, because when you finish the video, then you just have to scroll down.
Yeah.
It's built to be in their ecosystem.
I'm very impressed. I think this is really as close to something useful that I've seen in video format. And it does make you wonder, makes you wonder how many students, how many hits the BBC English system gets compared to.
I'll have a look at their YouTube channel.
Teachers and all the rest of it.
I
know that their yeah. I know that recently their YouTube channel is basically dying, isn't it? Because I have kind of briefly looked, and yeah, I mean, even the recent videos they don't really look appealing to me at all either. They've got some live English classes over, off, about. I mean, maybe should we have a look at one of them now?
Sure.
Does that fit into the remit of this?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
All right.
Yes, you're right. I am wearing a suit because I'm going to a wedding at
lovely.
1 o'clock.
Very good. I love weddings.
I love weddings too. I'm going to another one on Saturday.
Fantastic, Neil. And at and on are two of the words we're discussing in today's programme.
Yes, because we're talking about time expressions with in, on, and at.
We'll explain why we say at 1 o'clock, but on Saturday.
Yes, and we'll give you lots of examples.
Let's start by listening to Mike and Rob. They're trying to find a time to meet up.
Think about this question while you listen. What time can Rob meet Mike?
How about lunch on Monday, Rob? Well, I've got a meeting at 11:30. Okay. Are you free on Tuesday? The engineer's coming at lunchtime. The washing machine's flooded again. It happened at Easter too. Well, what are you doing in the afternoon? Sorry, I'm playing football. Okay. Perhaps we could meet in the pub on Saturday evening? We've got guests at the weekend. How about this afternoon at 2:30?
So, we asked you, what time can Rob meet Mike?
And the answer is at 2:30.
When we say a particular...
There's nothing pedagogically wrong with what they're doing here, but just seems a bit dull, doesn't it?
It seems like I'm doing an IELTS lesson again.
Yeah, it's a bit dull. I'm not entirely convinced by this. Like, just forcing the script up like that.
I think this is a podcast, and they've tried to make it into a video, and this is what they've come up with.
Maybe, yeah, but I don't like the script. The script should definitely be optional, and you shouldn't be forcing the students to look at a script while they're listening. Not unless it comes later. They should be able to listen to it naturally at least once. Let's see what goes on with this.
Let's look at the difference between on time and in time. They often mean the same, but sometimes they're different. On time.
This is a totally different video, isn't it? They've just glued it together.
Yeah.
Like they've got that one, and then they just glued this on because there's no logical reason why you would then suddenly start talking about in time and on time.
Means according to a schedule or a deadline. If I don't finish my work on time, my boss will be angry. My train is never on time. In time.
Yeah, synthetic models, and it's the same old dictionary teacher explaining the dictionary difference between two phrases. So we've seen that millions of times before.
Hello, I'm Sam, and in this lesson, we are going to look at the differences between at, in, and on for location. At can be used to talk about a single specific location. I'm at work, or I'm at the BBC right now. On is used in relation to a surface. I'm sitting on a chair. And
so once again, synthetic models where the preposition is being emphasized. Therefore, she's pronouncing it incorrectly. I'm sitting on a chair. Not good.
In is used to talk about a three-dimensional space, usually with four walls. It's similar to inside. I'm in a room. So to help you remember these rules, try to think of a
Yeah, I don't even agree with that definition of in. I don't think it has to have four walls. What's all that about? You could be in a football, like there's air in a football. You can be in a car. Does a car have four walls? You know, get in the car. I don't know. A bit weird.
I'm at the front.
Okay, yeah, I'm much less impressed by these. Okay, the grammar game show.
Hello and welcome to today's grammar game show. I'm your host, Will, and Will I am. And of course, let's not forget Leslie, our all-knowing voice in the sky.
Hello, everyone.
So they've got someone on work experience from University of Cambridge or something, isn't it?
Tonight we're going to ask you 3 questions about...
Probably is.
Prepositions. Those little but oh so important words for talking about...
...is with a time word. I'm going to tell you a time word, and I want to know the preposition. Here goes. 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock.
Correct.
2016.
In 2016. Correct.
Friday.
All right. That there's a variety of content on BBC Learning English with a variety of levels of quality, in my opinion.
In the YouTube channel, I think
That's right.
That's
it.
The recent stuff in the YouTube channel, I feel what's happened is the general issue that we have nowadays is everyone's just trying to put out content, just content after content after content, without any filter of, is this something we should be putting out? It's just kind of like, oh, can we just get a format and just shove it out there or whatever and without kind of a larger plan, I guess. And that's what it looks like to me. It just looks unorganized, kind of a bit hodgepodge, and it just turns out to be not so good. And that's why people move towards these kind of more tuba teachers, because at least there's kind of like it seems a bit more polished. Whereas if we
get the personality, don't you? So it's like, if you like Lucy, then you're going to get Lucy. Whereas here we just got all kinds of people.
Yeah, you're like, who is this?
We didn't see the same person twice.
Yeah, and at least with like something like English with Lucy or these kinds of tuba teachers, you kind of go, oh, this is what she's talked about before. So people put that linking in together, so it's kind of like part of her series of what have you. And yeah, it's such a shame, because the BBC Learning English website is just such a treasure trove of great English learning videos, especially if you're looking for like grammar and pronunciation and stuff, and even some of their older podcasts that are just like on the website, that on YouTube that you can listen to. They've got the scripts and stuff. They're really good, but when whoever's taken over on their new media, and they could have gone back and put that on YouTube, just have the workshop and do like a whole thing around that. And, or, if they're going to kind of like clip and use stuff together, at least use it from the same, Yeah,
I think you're probably right about that. I think it's probably changed hands a lot over time, and the person who's doing it now is most likely not the person who was in charge of it back then, back in the past. And it seems like it's a bit all over the place now. But I agree that the website seems to be very good. So yeah, very variable quality. So I think what my personal conclusion, without looking any further, is to say that quite a big fan of Tim's pronunciation workshop. Can definitely recommend that. And it does appear to me that there's certainly, as you say, a treasure trove of things to look at on the BBC Learning English website. It's definitely something that I think I'll be looking at, even as inspiration for classes. Like because some of the stuff, I mean, I don't particularly want to say that presenting that thing about law in space, I don't know if that was the best way of presenting it, but the content itself was actually quite interesting. I could very easily imagine using that as the focus for a lesson, something about international law when it comes to space, but perhaps presenting it in a slightly different way for a more kind of down-to-earth perspective, rather than saying law and space, how do they go together? Seemed a little bit odd, but yeah, certainly the idea that we have these agreements, and if there's someone in trouble, you're obliged under international law to help them. And I know for a fact that there's things about alien contact as well, what must be done if contact is made with extraterrestrials. Then there is a process, there's an international agreement.
Send in Rich, send in Professor Rich. They need to learn English. How are we supposed to communicate?
You got to get the shotgun, and then we got to get ourselves some of those green boogers. I don't know. It's an old Bill Hicks joke about turning up to UFO landings armed. Anyway, he's like, when are we going to put down the guns? Oh, maybe we don't know everything. Oh, there's a spaceship. But anyway. So So yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? And it kind of, in some ways, I sort of feel like there's a parable here just in the whole of English language learning, because you can kind of do searches on the internet and you can find these kind of just dinosaur websites that might come up sometimes where someone's made an article like 20 years ago explaining like all the different conditionals and how to use them. Yeah. And it still comes up and it's still good, and then alternatively, you can get something else that's recent and absolute rubbish, or vice versa, and it's kind of like that idea that there's not a lot of new things coming up and being done. And some of the best things you can get can be quite old. Just because something's old in language teaching doesn't mean that it's bad or irrelevant. And I guess that's something that we've looked at as we've explored some of the methodologies like the silent way, talking about Michelle Thomas, who was teaching other languages back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah. So I think that's definitely something to consider. And just because we've got these kind of new fancy things happening, like the tuba teachers, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're better. And yeah.
No, I mean,
same with BBC Learning English, that the recent content might not necessarily be as good as some of the older stuff.
Yeah, if I was a tuba teacher or a TikTok teacher right now, and I'm under that pressure to constantly be putting out content, I would be looking at places like BBC Learning English for inspiration, and finding ways to make it relevant to today or relevant to your audience, because we're seeing it more niche down, right? So how can international law and space be relevant to someone with particular tastes or learning English in a way? How can you present that to them? How do you relate it to their lives? It just it's and the thing is, they are older, and generally for me, with stuff like the BBC stuff, it's tried and tested. The people on there are generally going to be very well, let's just say, accredited, and they should know their stuff. So, they obviously put a lot of thought and time into it, and they are paid to do that. So, I think it's just one that I always recommend, and because I know if I send them there, it's going to be good. He's going to have people that care about it, that aren't just trying to sell you stuff as well. And that's one of the other things. It's less nowadays, but before, that was one of the things that was great about the BBC, was it was public to inform, educate, and entertain. That was their original remit, right? So, they're not trying to push you to buy their workbook or to, get their video course or what have you. I'm not sure how much of that nowadays, but the older stuff was basically there to deliver you the succinct, best way that they could come up with at the time of, how do you learn this particular learning point, And, nowadays, whenever we went to those tuba teacher channels, or whenever we went to the TikTok, and we saw you click on, there's always some sort of advert, there's always even if it's just a YouTube advert, or after they're like, oh, do you want to get some more content from me? Go buy my workbook or something like that. So it's how much, there's always a part of me that's, how much can you trust someone, how much can you trust a salesman, right? Because they're part teacher, part salesman.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know about that. Most language teachers are, aren't they?
That's the issue. Right. That's the issue. But that was the thing with the. It's an industry.
BBC Learning English is, I guess, they're employed elsewhere. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So they shouldn't have so much of an ulterior motive, I guess. But the BBC do have other ulterior motives, which we're not going to get into right now. But they're not necessarily. Teachers always have. There's always some bias coming in, isn't there?
There's always something. Same with public education. You know, it's that it's just the scope becomes bigger. The scope's not what can we sell them. It's can be how can we frame and mold minds in a way. If you want to go so far down the conspiratorial route. Too much time in Canada.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was impressed in general. So, I think it's definitely something worth looking at.
It's a double thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Well, for Tim's workshop, it certainly is. I wonder what he's up to these days. Maybe his acting career's taken off now.
If you're out there, Tim, drop us a line. You know, we'd love to hear more of your dad jokes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It was like kind of a cross between a dad joke and something from Bottom. Like, I half expected him to saw his own hand off and for like comedy blood to start spurting out.
Of that.
All right, then, okay then, Richie. It's like
I love how it was a good portion of the videos as well.
Get the bandage, Eddie. Shit.
Well,
all right then, Richie, I'll sort it out.
So whoever's been watching this, what do you think of the BBC and their Learning English program? Have you used their website? What did you think of their YouTube channel? We'd love to find out. If you are any of the teachers that appeared in this video, please drop us a line. We'd love to have you on, have a bit of a chit chat about English and teaching and everything that goes with it. If you're a learner, give us some recommends of videos that we should watch, and we're very happy to do that. But to wrap this up, I am Neil of Team Teacher fame. You can go to teamteacherchina.com, where I've got a whole bunch of materials that you can download, use instantly in your big public classroom. Those materials are put into self-study videos. Team Teacher English, the YouTube channel. You can watch those or give them out as homework. Go to Team Teacher China, where you can see us use those materials in classrooms as our own examples. And Team Teacher Baby, where I take my experiences teaching and put it into parenting in the most horrendous ways. No, I'm only joking.
All right, and I sort of hang around on the internet and talk about teaching. What else do I do? You can hire me as a voice actor now on Fiverr. Did you know that?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no one has yet. But if anyone would like to hire me as a voice actor on Fiverr, you can do that. That's something I'm dabbling with. As well as, twitch.tv/ProfRichGaming for streams about games. So not really anything related to teaching whatsoever. I'm trying new things, guys, all right? I'm just experimenting a little bit. That's me.
And as always, you can find us both together on ELT Under the Covers. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's eltunderthecovers@gmail.com. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.